Hello there and welcome to the video. My name is Ingvar Johannesson. I am the captain of the Icelandic women's team and I'm currently located here in Chennai in India, participating in the 44th Chess Olympiad, which has so far been a pretty good experience. And I want to share with you some games from the first 3 rounds. I think the highlight, at least for the local fans, is that after 3 rounds all of the Indian teams have won their matches, and in fact one of the Indian teams has won all of their individual matches as well. A pretty significant feat. But I'm going to look at a few games from the first few rounds before we look at a nice game played by India's top board Pentala Harikrishna. So first we're going to look at the game from the first round. And in the first round of the Olympiad, some strange things happened because there's a very big difference in strength between the players. And you have the world champion playing, and also you have people that are almost complete beginners playing. So when the first round starts, I usually like to walk around during the bottom boards and see what's going on there. And on one of the boards I saw a pretty nice mate. It was a game played in the match between Uruguay and the Seychelles. And the girl from Uruguay had white. She opened with e4 and e5, and after knight f3 we could quickly see that black was not an experienced player, as this move, pawn to g6, is not often seen in high level play. Now, pawn on e5 could be captured. In this case the player from Uruguay didn't take it. Probably she feared that if she takes there's going to be some kind of queen e7 take the pawn on e4, but the queen is out too early, that's nothing to worry about. But okay, nothing wrong with knight c3, bishop c4, development, and on f6. And this turns out to be a poor move, because now we will transpose to a common line where white goes knight d5. But these two moves, knight c3 and g6, have been inserted when compared to the normal line, and that's in white's favor because he has an extra piece out and g6 doesn't do much for black's development. So the pawn on f7 is a big weakness, and it's not easy to protect it. And here in fact black didn't find a way, took an e4, which, well, it might work in some cases but not here. White is able to take it. In the game he didn't take it, but if he takes like this there's no d5 to win back the piece because we cover this. And even if we took with the other knight, you actually can't bet d5 because I just take it. And if you take with the queen, I will play this knight over here and give a fork, check the king, and capture the queen next move. But all this is unnecessary because white has a very nice win, which Sofia from Uruguay played. She took an f7, and after king e7 she played knight d5, and this is when I walked up to the board. And unfortunately the player with black played an illegal move. She played king e8, and the referee, well, the arbiter was very keen to give her a loss because she played her second illegal move in the match. But she didn't press the clock, so she should have been allowed to play the only legal move in the position, which would have been king to d6, and then we would have seen a very nice mate on the board. Knight takes e4, checkmate. But that didn't happen. The game was lost because of the illegal moves. Moving on to round 2, and there a quick miniature happened in the game between Chennai Olympiad from Lebanon against Pierre Crowning from Sweden. So opening fairly standard, close Sicilian, g3, g6. These moves are all normal: bishop d2, bishop d7, d3, d6, bishop e3, and now black played e5. And here Moradian tried to be perhaps a bit too clever for her own good and played knight h3. And I guess her idea was she wants to play some kind of f4 and not have the knight in the way of the pawn, and maybe the knight can jump back to f2 if needed. But Crowning answered very energetically with h5 here. After queen d2, she played knight d4. And this is where Chennai Olympiad blundered pretty badly. She played pawn to f3 here. Seems like she saw bishop takes h3 and knight f3 check. But then she had just some kind of brain fart and thought, if it takes, but bishop is covering this, but the bishop can't cover two things at the same time. And of course she immediately realized after bishop takes h3 and resign the game. So you can't take back the bishop because knight takes after check and black wins the queen. So an off day for Gnaruk Moradian. She lost in 9 moves. But these things happen from time to time. Anatoly Karpov, world champion, lost in 11 moves against Larry Christensen. Vishwanathan Anand, chess legend from India, lost in 6 moves against Alonso Zapata. So these things do happen. But it seems like when this happens in modern society, we have all these keyboard warriors and people that haven't really played chess or achieved anything in chess, and they put down people that do this. And we see comments like, how could a player rated 2100 do this? I would never do this. Did this girl buy her rating points? No, she didn't. She's a strong player. She had an off day. I played her once. I played her in the Reykjavik Open many years ago. She had this rating. She's rated 2120, and she's been rated that at least or higher for 18 years. She went as high as 2220, I believe. And in 2004, she was 2118. So she's kept this rating, playing against men and women, for those sexists out there. So I kind of hate, these type of comments from people that haven't really accomplished anything, and they're putting down people at a level that they will never reach, and that's just sad. So on off day, these things happen, and they will happen again. Moving on to round number 3, and this is kind of our main event, a game that caught my eye from the 3rd round, Pentala Harikrishna. India's top board, and he's playing against Dimitrios Mastavasilis from Greece. And the game is taking a while loading here, but here it is. Harikrishna with white, and he opened up with the English opening pawn to c4. A reasonably common opening at many levels, especially at the top level. The English opening can transpose to many things, and in this game, in fact, it did. We had the move knight to f3, d5, g3 by Harikrishna, knight f6, and bishop to d2. Note that black can take this pawn, but white can, at his leisure, win back the pawn if he wants immediately with queen a4 takes c4, or wait a little bit and try to win it back later, but the pawn is never completely lost. So bishop e7, development, white castles, black castles, and d4. And now we've transposed to an opening that usually arises via a move order where white starts with the queen pawn first, 1 d4 on the first move. And this is called the Catalan opening. Now black has 2 main choices. He can take on c4, which is the open Catalan, or he can play c6, which is the closed Catalan. In this game, Master Vasilis from Greece went with c6, which is the closed Catalan. Knight c3 was played by Harikrishna, knight bd7 and queen d3. And I saw this method of playing against this line recommended in a recent chessable course by a fellow Indian, fellow Indian of Harikrishna. Of course, I'm not Indian. And yeah, very nice opening course, which I've been trying to study recently. So b6 was played by black. This has all been seen before, so we're still following opening theory, which means that these moves have been played before in high-level games. Harikrishna tries to open things up with e4, but black is intent on keeping things closed and plays bishop a6. And white grabs space, e5, knight e8. So black tries to keep things closed, but concedes space. So from here, it's pretty clear that black's actions will be coming from the queen side or the center. Either he will play for some kind of break with c5 or maybe b5. a4 was played by Harikrishna. Tried to clamp a little bit down on the queen side. Knight c7 and rook d1. Rook d1 is played to protect the queen. For instance, if we would play a move such as knight d2. Not that I really see a purpose with this move, but just to demonstrate why we need to protect the queen. If the queen is unprotected in these kinds of positions, black can spring a tactic such as this one, knight takes e5, and we see that the pawn can't move because the queen is unprotected. Same with the knight, can't move because the queen is under attack here by the bishop. So black would win a very important pawn and probably the game after this. So Harikrishna safely avoided this with rook d1 protecting the queen. And here we have the first new move of the game, h6, according to the database that I have, is a novelty, a move that has not been played before in this position, h6. And well, Harikrishna went for more space. He played h4, trying to clamp down on the king side. Rook to b8. The Greek is signaling that he wants to play on the queen side, maybe try to go for some break with b5. Harikrishna just goes on with development, bishop f4. Last piece out, connecting the rooks. Can't be a bad move. Overprotecting e5 if we need it. And now black gets on with some actions on the queen side. Harikrishna took and played queen c2. The rook lined up against the queen, rook to c8, rook d to c1, and bishop to b4. Here, Harikrishna decided to get out of the way of c-file by playing queen to d1. And black kept on signaling that he wants to play for activity on the queen side. He wants perhaps to take here, and he hopes that he will gain the c4 square for his pieces. He preferred the knight. Knight h2 by Harikrishna. He decentralizes the knight, but this knight wants to come to g4 to go for an attack. And also this queen is ready to join the action, whether it be on h5 or g4. Black gets on with it, but white tries to slow black down by taking with the knight. He wants to trade this knight, not to allow this knight to come into c4. That happens, takes, queen e7, and knight g4. And here in, well, an already difficult position, white has more space and, ambitions on the king side. But this next move by black is simply too much. He kind of puts another piece out of the game, knight to a8. Now he wants to trade, and maybe he wants to put the knight back into the game on b6 and jump to c4. But this is too slow, and this gives white time to strike, and Harikrishna did strike. He did not miss his chance, and he took on h6 here. Bishop takes h6, an excellent move, opening up the king side and trying to go for an attack on the king. A mating attack, in fact. Now, if black doesn't take, he simply lost a pawn for nothing, and the attack continues. So he, accepted the challenge, took the bishop, and hoped to survive. But survive he did not. Knight to f6 check. King comes up to g7. Doesn't really have a good choice here. If we go to h8, we're actually in deep trouble, because white can play a very surprising tactic here. He can take on c8, trade, and then play the queen to b1. The queen kind of goes to the side to land the death blow on the other side of the board. There's simply nothing stopping the mate here. If the king runs, we're going to check here anyway, and then mate the king by playing queen h8. The king would be here if he tries to run from here to here. So this would simply be checkmate, unless black sacrifices the queen here, but then he's down too much material, so he loses. So king h8 could not be played, and that's why Master Vasilis tried king to g7. But then Harikrishna moved in with the queen to g4 check. King to the corner, only move. Queen f4, attacking the pawn, threatening mate in 1. Pawn has to be protected, the king goes back. And now if white wanted, he could take a draw by playing queen here and then back here. But of course, he wants more. I think he should have tortured him one time, given the check, and then gone back, and then played the death blow. But he didn't. He played the winning move immediately. Very nice tactic, which I didn't understand at first. Bishop takes d5. A very nice move, but what does it do? Well, if black were to take, we'll find out. In the game, he played bishop d3. But if he takes, this opens up the f5 square. And this means that black is simply in deep trouble. We would give this check. And the king has to stay on h7, not to allow queen takes h6. But if it goes here, we're going to give a check on f5. And then the knight comes back. And similar to the queen b1 line, the mate on h7 is unavoidable unless we sacrifice the queen. So very nice tactic to open up a square for the queen there. So after bishop takes d5, bishop d3 was played, but that didn't change much because knight h5. And now we don't have a good choice. If the king goes to h8, we're going to take this pawn and give mate on g7. And we don't really have a good choice. In the end, he went for king h7, but then bishop e4 wins. Game over. Whoa, black resigned. Maybe one last trick is if we go here, then we'll simply, again, we're going to take on h6, threaten mate here, and despite the fact that we can protect the square here, there's going to be bishop takes e6 here, and it's mate next move. We can only interpose, be it a rook or a queen, and then queen g7 mates. So very nice attacking win by Harikrishna, and well, so far the Indian team's looking good. Let's have a look at the finish again. Bishop e4 and resigned. Nothing to be done. If the king goes here, it's going to be checkmate, and if it goes to h8, we're going to go the other way. We're going to take here and give mate on g7 again. So yeah, the Indian team's looking quite good. Who do you think will do best from the Indian teams? I'm thinking India 2 might upset India 1. We'll see. Tell me in the comments which team you like. Which is your favorite? Is it the young team with Gukesh, Prak and the rest, or is it India 1? Well, only time will tell, and well, hope to see you again soon with another video here from Chennai. But now it's getting late, and let's get some sleep. Bye bye.